Hey folks, it's Missmonkey88. I asked some people in my Discord what they might think about me reading you the book that I'm working on, and it seemed to be received favorably well. So here is the first 4 chapters. I was thinking 4 sounded good per video. Also, before we begin, I will tell you that the part 4 of Mafia Don's Son is going to be the first video you see in October. I am working on the script, and I have an artist friend of mine working on an official artwork for Ezio, so he will now have an original piece of art. Anyway, a little about this book. It's called The Dark Waltz, and it's what I like to call a gothic horror romance with a bit of Victorian flavor. I'm quite fond of the work I've done so far, and I hope you will be too. It really makes me feel very happy and warm inside to share this with you folks. You all mean a lot to me. So without further jabberjawing, let's get into some chapters, shall we? Chapter 1. The Dream. Help me, please. The ballroom was so dark. Only a few tall candelabras and the flickering tiny flames of half-melted candles scattered about the large space offered any illumination. Rick squinted his eyes as he attempted to fight off the woozy, disoriented sensations assailing him. He didn't know where he was or how he got here. Eerily beautiful music seemed to fill the air as elegantly garbed dancers, looking as though from days very long past, whirled about the dance floor with an otherworldly grace. He felt nauseated watching them in his dizzy state. Help me. That voice again. Rick's dark brown eyes scanned the poorly lit room for the source, until ultimately his gaze felt drawn to one girl in particular. She was a beautiful brunette that couldn't be any older than 17 or 18 years old. But she stuck out apart from everyone else. Her dress was a bright pastel mint green, with a baby pink sash at the empire waist, and tiny pink roses adorning the sides of the bell jar sleeves. Everyone else was adorned in dark and gothic hues of black, dark red, and gray. Elaborately decorated masks, too. Hers was the only face uncovered, a face that looked frightened, terrified, as she was whirled about the dance floor clearly against her will, yet somehow not having the strength to fight back. Ethan, help me. Please. I'm so afraid, Ethan. Her voice was faint and almost sounded muffled, like he was hearing it from underwater. He was about to call out to her. Clang, 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 clang! The sound of thunderous cymbals clashing together had 21-year-old Rick Lewis sitting up straight in bed, his breath coming out in ragged pants as sweat dripped down his face in thick rivulets. He looked over at his loud-ass phone sitting on the bedside table as soon as he registered he was in his own room, and picked up the device, turning off the 10 a.m. alarm he'd set. That dream again, he groaned, propping his elbows onto his knees before resting his forehead onto his palms. Always the same, everything the same, and that girl. I have never seen that girl anywhere before in my life. Why is she so scared? He about jumped out of his skin then as his bedroom door abruptly opened to reveal his older brother Peter standing in the doorway. He looked excited about something. "Rick, I've got something you're really going to like. Get dressed and come on downstairs. I'll take you out to breakfast so we can talk about it." Peter was already heading back out the door before Rick could say anything. The obvious sound of his retreating footsteps echoing off the stairs as he had descended. Rick sighed and turned to throw his legs over the edge of the bed. Maybe he could tell Peter about the weird dream. His brother was all into history and weird stuff, so maybe he might not think he was completely quackers for dwelling on it as much as he was. He looked at the pristine white paint of his bedroom and couldn't help but feel his mind wander a little as he thought again about the girl he kept seeing. That beautiful girl, so obviously in great distress. He couldn't understand why, but his heart ached when he recalled the terror on her lovely face. "I must be losing my mind. It was just a stupid dream," Rick sighed as he hopped off the bed and made his way towards his dresser for some fresh clothes. Chapter 2. Eggs, bacon, and a side of answers, please. Rick pushed the scrambled eggs on his plate a bit as he looked up to watch his older brother shovel a big forkful of pancake into his cavernous mouth. Man, this guy could put food away. It was no wonder he was the captain of the wrestling team back in high school. It was both fascinating and disgusting all at once to watch his brother devour the stack of pancakes. "So," Peter spoke up after swallowing the big chunk of pancake, "out with it. You've got something on your mind, I can tell. You always get this constipated look on your face when something is bugging you." "I do not look constipated," Rick scoffed as he picked up his wadded napkin and tossed it over the table at his brother's pancakes. "Look at yourself. You've got a stream of maple syrup gliding down your chin." "Cute little brother," Peter remarked, flicking the napkin away from his food before fixing his younger brother with a more serious expression. "But seriously, you were really quiet the whole way up here. And usually, I can't get you to shut up." Rick began, hesitant to say anything, even though he knew his brother was the best person to talk to about it. "Didn't you say you had something to show me?" "Oh yeah, that's right," Peter exclaimed shortly, reaching for the messenger bag sitting beside him on the diner booth seat. "I found some really cool information about this old mansion right on the edge of town. You know the one everyone says is haunted and they can't seem to get anyone to buy it." "I've heard about it, yeah," Rick replied. "My friends say that place is really spooky, just all kinds of bad vibes." Peter nodded with a big smile. "Well, I got permission to explore the place tonight, and the Historical Society gave me all this really neat information about the mansion and the family who lived there. It's so weird, man." He pulled the binder out of the messenger bag and put it on the table. He flipped it open to reveal a lot of documents and printed out old pictures. The home belonged to the Bishop family way back in the late 1800s, just before the turn of the century. I guess they were this really well-off family of horse breeders, you know? You couldn't get better horses than theirs, and people were willing to spend a lot of money to get a bishop horse. Rick nodded. "All right. So where does the weirdness come in?" Peter reached into the folder for one of the printed-out photographs and slid it in front of Rick. And when Rick's eyes registered what he was seeing, he about crapped himself. In one photograph was a family of a father, mother, and apparently their daughter, whom looked startlingly familiar. It was her. This was the girl he was continuously seeing in his dreams. He was sure it was her. So, this is the Bishop family. Edward, Arabella, and their daughter Rosalind. Okay, now the family had this favorite horse breeder named Ethan that worked in the stables. I guess Mr. Bishop was just in total awe of this young man and sang his praises to everyone. Just loved the guy. Well, anyway, Ethan was in love with Rosalind, and she loved him too. The pair of them even talked Mr. Bishop into letting them get married after he saw how magnificent the newest foals were turning out. He totally set his mind at ease about letting this common-born guy marry his daughter. He knew Ethan would take good care of her and the business, right? Well, here's where it gets strange. Mr. Bishop threw the two a huge engagement party. He wanted to make it known and clear to all the gentry that Ethan was being accepted as bishop, and they would respect that or never see another bishop horse again. Okay, Rick replied, his eyes wide as he gripped hard the edge of the table with both hands. What else? What happened? That's just it. No one really knows. Ethan never showed up at the ball, and after many of the guests had left, the entire Bishop family and the main staff all vanished. Just poof, as if in thin air. None of the other out-of-house staff could explain it. They said they never saw one single carriage leave the property after the last time they'd seen any of the bishops. Peter explained. There was a huge investigation, but no one ever found anything that could explain the disappearances, and no one ever heard anything from the Bishop family again. I mean, despite the staff say they never saw anyone leave. Why abandon such a successful business anyway? It makes no sense. Rick, are you okay? Rick had the picture in his trembling hands and was gazing at the lovely visage of Rosalind Bishop, his logical side trying to somehow explain it. Like maybe he'd read about the bishops before somewhere and forgot about it. But he knew he hadn't. None of this struck a bell for him. Nothing but Rosalind's face. Chapter 3. A plan to learn the truth. Peter, I know this is going to sound insane, but Rick began, hesitating at first before he continued, lifting his eyes from the photo to look at his brother with a serious expression. I know her, Rosalind Bishop. I've been seeing her in my dreams every night for months now, ever since I turned 21. Always the same dream. And I know it's her. This face has haunted me. I've been going nuts trying to figure out who she was and why I keep seeing her. Peter's expression went from excited to concerned, but he didn't like he disbelieved him either. Every night? Since your birthday? That's really weird, man. You are absolutely sure the girl in your dream is Rosalind? Look really hard at the picture, Rick. Are you positive it could be her? Rick looked at the picture again and brought it close to his face before he sighed frustratedly and nodded as he looked up. Yes, I am completely sure it's her. You believe me? Peter shrugged. Well, it's no secret I believe in the supernatural. And I know you've never been a liar or a practical joker. Nor does that scared, frustrated look in your eyes look fake either. I know you, Rick. I can tell you're very serious. You do you want to put this off until we dig more? I get it if you do. This is scary business, you know. If Rosalind's spirit is reaching out to you, might be a good idea to get some idea of why she'd choose you in particular. Like maybe we're related to the bishops and never knew, or something like that. Rick stared at his brother for a good couple minutes before he responded. Peter, thank you. Thank you for believing me so readily. It means everything to me to know that I seriously can depend on you to have my back no matter what it is. And I want to go tonight. I need answers, Peter, and it's just going to drive me absolutely bonkers to put it off. I don't know what we'll find, or if we'll find anything at all, but I have to try. Rosalind keeps begging me for help in my dreams. She's in trouble. I can feel it. So this dream, tell me about it. What do you see every night? Peter asked, pushing his plate aside as he gazed at his brother with a genuine interest. Rick pushed aside his own plate of half-eaten eggs, and a pensive look touched his face. I always find myself in a ballroom. The lighting is really dim. It's almost difficult to see people's faces. The music is strange, almost eerie and ominous. It's so beautiful. I keep hearing a voice, though. It sounds like it's floating above the music, and yet it sounds muffled and echoey. Kind of like trying to hear Dad holler when you're diving in the pool, Peter offered. Rick nodded enthusiastically. Yes, exactly like that. I can make out pleas for help, though. And then I see her in the crowd of dancers. But she looks frightened and distressed. And the man she's dancing with, I can't see his face, but I just get the worst feeling from him. But as soon as I try to call out to her or try to move to help her, I wake up. Peter murmured. Not sure what to make of it. Maybe she's stuck in the night she vanished. Perhaps something really bad went down and she's stuck in a residual loop. I've heard that can happen when a spirit underwent a traumatic death. Rick was silent a moment before he nodded slowly. Yeah, maybe. And that guy she was dancing with, you could tell she didn't want to be. I think she's trying to tell me something, but I'm not sure what it is. It could possibly have something to do with the Bishop family disappearing, but it's impossible to say how without knowing who the guy was. Maybe we can find something in the mansion to identify the people you saw. You said you couldn't see the fellow's face, but maybe he had something else you could identify him with. Maybe his hair color, the style, perhaps even his clothes. Anything could potentially be useful in this situation, Peter explained. We'll gather what information we can from the mansion tonight, and then we'll go to the Historical Society tomorrow and see what else we can get with anything new we learn. Rick smiled, for once feeling like he wasn't crazy. Okay, it's a plan then. What time tonight are we going? Do you have any equipment for ghost hunting? Perhaps we'll be lucky enough to get some EVPs. I have a voice recorder that should do the trick well enough, Peter confirmed. I can ask my friend Susie if we can swing by her place to borrow her SB7 spirit box, too. And at the time, I think we will head out by 6, so we can be there before dark and give us an easier time finding the place. Rick gave his brother a resolute nod. Finally, he might actually get some questions answered. Chapter 4. Is this more than mere nightmares? Help me. I need you. Ethan. Rick looked around as he fought to overcome the haze that always fell over him. It felt like the old-fashioned ballroom was tilting back and forth, side to side, like some kind of demented teeter-totter. He took deep breaths as he reminded himself again and again. This is my dream. I hold the power here. Just breathe and concentrate, focus, and everything will get clearer. He closed his eyes tightly as the elegantly garbed dancers whirled across the dance floor all around him, making him dizzy. Focus, Rick. Take control. When he opened his eyes again, the room was no longer swaying. The music had stopped, and all the dancers were gone. And there, standing in the center of the glamorous, opulent ballroom, was Rosalind Bishop, her wide spring green eyes staring directly ahead at Rick, as if trying to determine whether or not this was real, or if it was some kind of cruel joke. What was going on here? Taking a deep breath, Rick took a couple steps towards the terrified-looking brunette. Rosalind Bishop? That's your name, right? Please help me. He won't let us go, she murmured, her soft voice trembling. No one can leave. We don't know what he did. Ethan, I need you. Who won't? Rick asked, his face etched with confusion as he took another couple steps closer until he stood no more than 3 feet away from Rosalind. Are you saying someone is holding you against your will? And who is Ethan? Rosalind opened her mouth to speak, but before a single word could escape past her lips, a powerful, swirling gale of black shadows filled the ballroom. Rosalind screamed and fell to her knees, her arms wrapping around her head as if to protect herself. No! Leave me alone! Stay away! Ethan, help me! Rick raised an arm to shield his face from the powerful black wind and attempted to make his way towards Rosalind. But the moment he took one step closer, a punching gust focused on Rick and barreled into his stomach, sending him flying. However, just as he was about to hit the wall, "Shit!" Rick exclaimed, startled as he found himself shaken awake. He was breathing hard as he looked around to see he was still in the passenger seat of his brother's SUV. He released a long, heavy sigh as he leaned back into the seat. What the fuck was that? Peter looked over from the driver's seat with wide eyes, shocked to hear his usually docile brother cussing like that. Bad dream? I was there again. The ballroom. But I managed to take control this time. Got rid of the music and the phantom dancers, Rick explained, looking to the side out the window to see where they were now. It looked like a remote dirt road cutting straight through thick woods. I talked to Rosalind for a minute, one-on-one. She was really frightened of someone. She kept calling me Ethan. I'm thinking maybe we're not related to the Bishops at all. Maybe we're related to this Ethan guy. Peter turned his eyes back to the road with a thoughtful expression on his face. You know, that could explain a lot. I couldn't find any photos of Ethan. Maybe you happen to resemble him closely, and she thinks you're him or something. Anyway, what else happened? You look like you had a pretty rough waking up over there. Yeah, Rick confirmed, his expression looking a blend of concerned and confused. This gale of black wind, it came out of nowhere and filled up the ballroom. Rosalind was absolutely terrified, on her knees, and when I tried going to help her, it attacked me. Attacked you? Peter asked, his eyes widening with shock as he continued to watch the road. Attacked you with... how? A gust of black wind hit and rammed me hard in the chest and threw me, Rick replied, raising a hand to rub at his eyes. I woke up just before I could make impact with the wall. Peter, do you think this might be a stupid idea after all? I mean, like, do you think we're walking into something way over our heads? Peter was silent for just a moment before he eventually responded. We'll check the place out, and then if shit starts getting thrown at us, we'll leave and do more homework. Sound good? Besides, we're almost there, and we've been driving for near 2 hours now. It would suck to just turn back after coming all this way. Rick nodded. Peter was right. And besides, he couldn't explain why, but he really felt like he needed to figure out what was holding Rosalind captive, and what that black wind was. It was going to eat at him endlessly if he walked away now. He had to know the truth. I know, even for a believer, this is a lot to just accept right off the get-go. Rick explained, looking at his brother with a serious expression. I'm really grateful to have you here, helping me figure this crap out. I would never have connected my dreams to the old Bishop mansion without your help. I owe you everything, man. It was fate, dude. Don't worry about anything, Peter responded. We'll figure out why Miss Rosalind Bishop is haunting you, and perhaps even we might find a way to set her free. Rick furrowed his brows as he gazed ahead through the windshield at the dirt road. I'm not sure Rosalind is the only spirit trapped in the house. She said we and us when she was talking about something holding them there. She said he won't let us go. No one can leave. He? Maybe that black wind is an evil spirit or entity manifesting itself that way to hide its identity from you, Peter offered. I've heard of darker spirits doing that when they don't want the truth to be known. Rick made a sound before speaking again. That very well could be. But then who could it have been? Did the files speak of anyone that might have wished ill upon the bishops? Maybe someone upset about Rosalind getting engaged to a lowborn? Peter thought for a couple of moments and shook his head lightly. I can't remember any such mention, but that's not really very surprising. The gentry didn't really like publicly airing their dirty laundry like an old-fashioned Facebook or anything. They were very private. Anyway, like we said before, maybe we'll find some good clues after we search the house. For now, let's not get too worked up. We'll be little more than jumpy messes when we arrive. Rick sighed softly and nodded. Yeah, you're right. So how much longer do you think we're going to be driving? Another hour, Peter explained. It's quite a ways away. These people must have really liked their privacy away from the highly populated areas. Some people build fences, Other people moved to the ass end of Gent's Woods, so it seemed to go on forever. Rick bitterly muttered with a sigh. Mind if I hook my iPod to the radio? Some tunes might make this a little less dull. Go ahead, I've had little else to listen to over the past few hours, but you're snoring, Peter replied, looking over at his brother with a teasing grin. Nothing too modern. Some classic rock sounds sound good. Lighten the mood some. You need to relax, man. Yeah, sounds great, Rick replied with an exhale of breath designed to calm himself. Perhaps the lively rock music would take his mind off things for a little while. He didn't need to be jumping at mere shadows while trying to dig for real answers. He needed to just relax for a while, like Peter said. Okay, that was the first 4 chapters of The Dark Waltz. I hope everyone liked that, and will tune in again when the next 4 chapters are released. Anyway, like I said in the beginning, part 4 of Mafia Don's Son will be coming in early October. Folks have been very patient waiting for this one, so I will promise you that you'll get a good lengthy video with your sexy Italian hubby-to-be. If folks would like to interact more with me, perhaps even join in on games with me and my husband, such as the game Among Us, which we are really enjoying right now. Or you can hang out with other viewers and just have a good time. You can find the link to my Discord in the video description. If you would like to donate and support me financially, which also does help to free up more of my time, letting me focus more on my work. While I do not require it in any way, it does really help. However much or however little, a blessing is a blessing and not to be dismissively sniffed at. You can also find the link to my Discord in the to my PayPal in the description as well. Lastly, I've been asked by my brothers and my husband to ask my viewers if perhaps you might like them to acquire some more international food goodies and try them for you on screen. Give you their opinions and whatnot. My brothers are pretty darn funny too, so I guarantee you'll get a few good laughs out of it. Let's see. Anyway, I think that's everything I needed to cover. I wish you all a beautiful day, and I look forward to seeing you again in the next video. Bye, everyone!